Practice for Latin America and the Caribbean, an initiative by OLADE together with OEMLAC. So I will tell you briefly about our schedule for today, and after that, we are going to move on to the opening remarks. Can you see my slide? Please share your agenda. Okay, so we have the opening remarks by the interpreter here. The speaker is muted. Thank you. So now we will be talking about an overview of the community, how it's going to work, and then we will continue telling you about, and by the end, we're going to have a special opportunity for questions and answers. So please share your comments or questions in the YouTube chat, and we will be gathering that information. And after that, we're going to answer as many as possible. So now, Andres Rebolledo, our Executive Secretary, the floor is yours. Well, thank you, Anabela. Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to this community of practice. To all of you that are here, those of you that have been working so hard in this agenda that is so important for our region, and this community of practice that is being launched today works as a complement of what we have been doing together with our member states. And we are fully aware of the needs of decarbonization, especially focusing on natural gas and oil industries. We have an observatory that has been supported by several of the agencies that are present today. And it has played a very important role. And thanks to that, we were able to make progress in this decarbonization agenda. And we believe that in this energy transition in our region, we need to, of course, include renewable energies, but also the natural gas industry. So we need to include this agenda as part of our environmental commitments. This community was created to exchange experiences, to get to know about technological advances, to increase transparency. That is one of the main goals when it comes to get to know the status of emissions, methane emissions in the sector, but mostly about exchanging experiences and to make progress in cooperation agreements between our 27 countries. At OLADE, we believe in South-South cooperation and also trying to find collective regional solutions to our problems that is part, of course, of integration here. And just to wrap up, well, I would like to thank you all once again for being here, for all of you that have supported this agenda that is so important to us. And I would like to invite you to get actively involved in this community, okay, in each of the objectives that we have set. From OLACDE, we want you to know that of our commitment on this agenda. This is an agenda that is crucial not only for the region, but for the whole world, if we take into account the role to be played by Latin America and the Caribbean when it comes to transition and global solutions in decarbonization. So thank you once again for being here. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. So now Tim Good, that is the Chief Energy Economist of the International Energy Agency. Mr. Good, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to join you today, and thanks very much to Andres for those opening words. And indeed, one of the themes of this collaboration is the opportunity for us to learn from each other and work together. And I'm particularly grateful to Andres and to OLADE for the opportunity that we had in Lima in July for having that regional roundtable to talk through many of the opportunities that exist for methane abatement across this very important region. And there's a lot that we can learn from and work with. We have very good examples in different parts of the region. Colombia, of course, with some comprehensive regulation on methane flaring, all sorts of other aspects of this process. And you can see in many other parts of Latin America, similar progress towards a more comprehensive approach to this issue. Very interesting things going on at the moment also in Brazil. So there's lots of experience to share. Certainly from our perspective, we are very happy to bring in that broader international perspective from IEA data, IEA analysis. We're just working now on a new edition of our global methane tracker. We have all sorts of other analysis on regulatory roadmaps and other approaches that we think can be very useful for colleagues across this space. And I think it's a final thought is when we look at this opportunity for collaboration on methane, we should not only think about this as an environmental opportunity. I mean, the environmental aspect is, of course, absolutely crucial, but there are also sound commercial, reputational, security of supply reasons why methane should be a priority across this region and internationally. So let's have those multiple benefits in mind as we think through the approaches. And I can assure you from the perspective of the International Energy Agency that we will be delighted to work together with you as we pursue this important issue. So many thanks for the opportunity to be part of this community, and look forward to hearing from other colleagues today and working with you in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tim, and thanks to the agency for being with us. And now Jonathan Banks. She's the Global Director of the Methane Pollution Prevention Program from the Clean Air Task Force. Mr. Banks, the floor is yours.
Thank you all. Thanks for the invitation, and congratulations to OLADE for the launch of the Community of Practice. We're really excited about this. We are thrilled to be a strategic ally for this initiative and to try to share some of the learnings that we've developed over the last 20 years working in the region. Since our initial engagements in Latin America in 2016 with Mexico, when Carlos de Regules, who's on the phone here, was starting to develop the first Latin American regulations for oil and gas methane, we recognize the importance of these kinds of exchanges between policymakers. Back then, there weren't a ton of governments that had tried to address methane, and we brought many of them to Mexico so that there could be this kind of peer-to-peer exchange between people that were trying to tackle the same problem so that they could learn from each other. Since that time, obviously, there's been a tremendous growth in efforts on methane mitigation in the region, especially in the energy sector. There are 2 published oil and gas methane regulations, and at least 4 other governments are actively developing theirs. So the importance of these exchanges and the ability to have exchanges directly between partners in the region, I think is greatly grown and is super exciting. As the methane efforts in the region grow, so have the actors involved. So we're seeing a lot more regulators and ministries and operators, service and technology providers, academia, a lot more civil societies being engaged as well. And the knowledge and capacity is growing as well. And with all these different sets of tools and experiences that can aid each other, however, there is a gap in this, and establishing the relationships that would allow for those experiences to be shared amongst each other so that everyone can benefit from them. So the new initiative with a community of practice can serve as this main instrument through which this gap can be bridged. And so we're super excited about it and looking forward to the collaboration and coordination that this initiative will bring. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Banks, for your message. So now, Andrea Calcan, there is the acting head of the UNEP's International Methane Emissions Observatory, IMEO. Welcome, Andrea.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me today, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to contribute to this unique initiative, which we really value and see a lot of potential in. I would like to thank particularly Andres and OLADE for their leadership convening this initiative, and also welcome all the institutions and experts and practitioners that join in this event today. Now, the previous speaker made it very clear why we must act on methane. It's obvious and it's clear. But to act, we need several elements, and this is a lesson learned from the effort that in UNEP we are dealing with it day by day, but also worldwide. A lot of key partners that we work with are facing. It's about getting the right data into the hands of those that can act and do something. The tools, the data, the satellites, aircrafts, and equipment is there. Ideas of and good examples and good practices of how to create the right regulation or the useful tools in countries exist. But sometimes there is not enough communication and sharing among all the experts in the world. And I think this initiative is opening a platform for everyone to share, and we are happy to share all our lessons learned and all our data with you. I really encourage you all to go and make the most out of our data that is publicly available. IMEO's Eye on Methane data platform. And even more, we are looking at this initiative as an essential partner in the region to support us in our methane alert and response system, which is a unique tool, and I'm happy to share more details about it. But it's a unique satellite-based tool that tracks high-emitting events that really drive mitigation. But for getting to the mitigation point, we need a lot of engagement. This is something that we experience all around the world, and this initiative will be key for us and will come into this in the support of our already existing memorandum of understanding with OLADE that we are very glad that we have in place, and we are engaging a lot in the region, and we aim to engage more. So it's all around credible data, and that can accelerate methane reduction, and that we see that today it's the right moment as we are in a key moment of the world's climate, battle, if we can call it like that. But also, you should see this community of practice that you build as something that can become a very strong partnership. But it all depends how honest and how much all the partners are sharing. So I really encourage everyone to share not only the good experiences, but also the bad ones, because most of the time you learn more out of the bad experiences than only on the good ones. So you can make this a strong community that can influence a lot, not only in the region, it can be an example for the whole world. And we are looking forward to see how this community is developing and what amazing actions you will trigger with this work. Congratulations once again, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Now, Enrique Becerra, he is the Regional Director for Latin America of the Global Methane Hub. Thank you, Annabella. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. I would like to celebrate this initiative by OLADE in creating this community of practice. We know that OLADE was created more than 50 years ago to promote the development of the energy sector in the region, creating a safe and sustainable system. And this methane mitigation agenda gathers all these attributes. We know, as proven by different studies by the International Energy Agency, is the most cost-effective measure in the short term to decarbonize the energy sector. We can mitigate up to 75% of methane emissions in the hydrocarbon sector at a negative cost or a very low cost by 2030. And by doing that, we can have a positive impact on global warming. It's an agenda that tries to promote security and energy sovereignty, because at the end of the day, methane mitigation is an efficiency agenda, trying to reduce leaks, gas leaks. It's an agenda that promotes clean air, protection of workers' health, and those communities affected by toxic gases that are connected to methane emissions. This community of practice, in a way, the creation of this community of practice is a very good response to this emergency. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, but we need to learn from each other with policymakers and from those experiences that are being already successful in methane mitigation in the region. We can learn from successful examples from different countries and provinces that are currently regulating and implementing methane mitigation measures. Examples from Colombia. And we also have economic incentives for those countries and companies that are investing and improving exports capabilities. For example, the European Union, one of the main importing markets of oil and gas, are already implementing the EU regulations that will be working with low emission operators. Taking all this into account, I invite all the bodies here today that contribute to strengthen this community and to guarantee that our countries comply with the requirements for methane mitigation, at least 30% by 2030. And the energy sector, of course, will be leading these efforts. For that, you can count on us. Thank you very much, and we are at your disposal. Thank you very much, Enrique. And now, our secretary, we would like to welcome Renato Cabral Diaz Dutra, that is the National Secretary for Oil, Gas and Biofuels from the Ministry of Mines and Energy from Brazil. Unfortunately, Renato couldn't make it today. We are happy to have our colleagues from the Ministry of Mines and Energy from Brazil. So now let's move on to the presentation of the community by Gaston Siruat, that is our OMLAC director. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in this very important day when we are launching our community of practice. But before we start with this specific topic about the community, I would like to provide you with some context. This year, post Brazil COP, this topic became even more relevant because we saw how different organizations are coordinating initiatives connected to this topic, especially at regional level. When I talk about this with all the people that we have here today, it happens that many of the topics we're going to be dealing with are being addressed from the different bodies from their own perspectives. So I believe it was a decision we made last year, July last year, and I think it was the right decision to try to take all these global initiatives that you have been addressing and to discuss them at a regional coordinated way. That is the objective of this community. I think that the first question here is, what is COEMLAC? Okay, what is this initiative about? What is it that we are trying to, what is it that we are looking for? Basically, it's an initiative in Latin America and for Latin America to share, exchange, and cooperation on different topics. And we're going to see the different topics that we can cover. And it's not only about regulations or about technology. There are several areas. I believe that having an opportunity where we can all discuss and exchange ideas, that really will make a difference. Okay, what about the creation of COEMLAC? Okay, this was promoted by the observatory, and it has several co-founding members, let's say, and they are listed on the slide. And basically, these organizations believe in this topic, believe in these efforts at a regional and global level, and are here today with us. This is not about one organization, but in fact, together with the countries in the region, they try to work together. These are the founding members, but we believe that we still need to add more actors. But we really wanted to share their names with you in this formal launch. Okay, so special thanks to these organizations that believed in this initiative. And as we make progress and we start sharing, we can start working together. All those members that want to participate in this, we believe like there should be like specific groups and specific areas of work. Because we have several topics and several actors. And I think that if we have specific groups, everything would be easier to deal with. Everything is going to be more dynamic. In the upcoming days, you will get an email for you to enter the platform I will be telling you about. And there you will find that we have different focal points from the different countries. This is important because governments represent one of the pillars of these initiatives. And you will see that right below it, you have the second pillar that is represented by the private sector. National oil companies, private companies, that is the second pillar. And then we do believe that there's a group of actors that are key. First, all the regional allies that we have that are here today, and we play very different roles. It can be from technical assistance, coordination, financing, regulations, okay? But we share all the same objective, that is to provide support to these actors that are governments and companies. Also, we wanted to create a specific subgroup for the academia. The academia is willing and able to share all the knowledge generated, and to have a specific area for that is beneficial because we can make use of that knowledge. And then two other subgroups are independent experts, those voices that we need to pay attention to. And the second subgroup was the civil society. Why? Because these initiatives need to include the vision and the voice of those in the territory, of the communities, the organized civil society, because those are the ones that can provide a real feedback about the impact of emissions. And they can also bring and provide us with solutions, ideas that we can implement from this community, okay? So that is the idea of having a community that has different subgroups where we can include all the actors. We want all the actors to feel identified or to feel comfortable in one specific area. How do we intend to address all this? Well, we have different phases. To keep it real, we're going to start with dissemination of knowledge, regional events, webinars. Then we're going to share a date of the next event. And then as we make progress, we can move on to phase 2, and we can have some research partnerships, and then regional events or specific projects. The different bodies came to us and we were discussing what they could contribute with. We realized that they were complementary to each other, things that they're already doing. And this could be the opportunity to enhance all that, to put all those efforts together. What we want to have here is to promote dissemination and knowledge creation. We want to replicate all these efforts and reflect it into new projects. Okay, let's see the different topics. We believe that one of the 5 pillars that we have identified would be regulations. Those that allowed us to regulate or identify how to make progress. Those topics connected to technology and innovation, which are the tools that will allow us to measure, control, monitor, respond, and act and mitigate. We can use technologies that, thanks to all the studies carried out, all these are affordable. You are all aware of the figures published last year. 80% of these initiatives, they have a positive net result. So technology, progress, innovation, progress in AI, they can be used because all this is profitable. The third pillar, all those aspects connected to financing. We believe it is crucial so that we can multiply the effects of implementation. This will allow us to create a pilot project, but also to scale it up if it works. And this is key. We need to have scalable solutions. The last two pillars are data transparency. That was mentioned by our secretary in his opening remarks. And lastly, research. As you can see, these are cross-cutting, and they do not belong in one specific area or subgroup. Basically, they affect all the different subgroups. It is important to understand that exchange of information between groups and areas will allow us to have these multiplying effects of knowledge. As I told you in our first phase, we're going to be focusing in these areas of work. We're going to be sharing dates for all of them in the coming weeks. We're going to be defining topics for webinars, exchanges, events. Let me move on to our next slide, where we have some specific news to share with you. You will find in our OEMLAC website, we will give you the information to have access to the platform. This platform in the COEMLAC, basically here we're going to be exchanging information, setting up webinars, exchange blogs, all the areas of knowledge. So basically, through this, we will be able to trace all our actions. You will have alternative focal points to share the information with, and all these will be hosted on a website in the platform. And as from today, we will be able to have the traceability of all the things discussed. Something that we learned in our first years is that it is necessary to have all that information stored somewhere, information that we should be able to check. We realized about the importance of that, because then we have changes in the academia, changes in the focal points, changes here and changes there. So if we have the traceability of all the information available, we can then build the different steps to implement all our actions. So it is key being able to store all this information somewhere. So we're going to have a specific site where we can have all the information. This is the way it looks. This is what you will see as from today after you get your user information and your password. This will allow you to have access to the presentations, to the specific materials of each of the areas. You will be able to write messages, use the blog. So we have to make use of this momentum so that this is a real experience to exchange information. So then you can allow representatives from your body to have access to all this information, okay? Here we can see how this is organized, taking into account the different areas of knowledge. You can have access on the left side of the panel or on the right one. This presentation is recorded, so you can go through it and use the slides to have access to the platform. Also, we have a call for initiatives. We wanted to implement this last year, but because of the agenda, we were not able to do it. We believe that there's a group of works carried out by different actors that are never finished, let's say, or are not disseminated in the right way. So we want to have a space where all the users and all the members of these communities can upload their initiatives. That will allow us to have an initiative bank. As we have mentioned before, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have already talked about this. There are many things that if we have them in only one place, we will be able to systematize information and share information. So we invite you all to upload your initiatives here. And we have approximately 2.5 months to upload initiatives. And then we're going to be sharing results and making them visible in our next methane summit. How can you register? Well, this is a QR code, or you have the link on the website, on the OEMLAC website, where you can register. Not only the agencies, but also all the users, all the representatives of different companies and bodies and agencies, and also the general public. Apart from the different subgroups, we want to have access so that all the information we believe should be shared with the public is in fact shared with the public. Here we have up to today, this is the figures that we have before launching the community. And here, I invite you to see what happens in 6 months when we share this slide. Let's see how these numbers change or improve in the upcoming months. These tools also allow us to have a clear idea of who are those interested in the topic, in which topics they are interested, which their priorities are, so that we can focus our efforts and adapt them to the objectives that we have. Today, we're going to have all the recordings of the sessions available, all the presentations, all the resources, publications. Okay, everything will be replicated here. Of course, always acknowledging the authors, participants, that will allow us to systematize information, to have a report of working sessions. So all the information will be available on this Moodle website of COEMLAC. Okay, so next steps. Which are the next steps after the launch? Well, registration remains open. The idea is that as from today, we're going to have more actors. You will be getting, as from today or tomorrow, your credentials so that you can have access to the platform. There at the bottom of the slide, there you have an email address. Any questions that you may have, if you cannot have access, if you're not getting the email, well, just write to us. If you want to add an alternate focal point, well, just send us an email. Also, you will also get the invites for the first webinars to participate in those initiatives. So in the agenda, last year we started a dashboard to systematize all the methane information available. All the information systematized by countries. There has a lot of hard work by the observatory team where they compiled all that information and they made it available and accessible. So that will be available during February, and we're going to have a webinar about that probably in March. Then with one of our founding members, we'll have a webinar on satellite data. This is a date, a piece of news. Look, we have a date for the third regional methane summit that will take place on the 21st of May in Brazil. So now we're finishing with all the last details, and that will be the third regional methane summit. And it will be a pleasure to host that event together with the Ministry of Mines and Energy from Brazil. So if I were you, I would start brushing up my Portuguese. It's going to be the first time that from OLADE we host such a large event with one of the member states. That is one of the largest members. And lastly, we have the second part of the methane and climate course that started last year. And with this, I wanted to wrap up my presentation. I wanted to tell you about COEMLAC, about its structure, our plans for the upcoming months. We invite you to disseminate all this information. Hope you will be getting your links and credentials for access. And then, well, we'll start sharing and working together. I would like to thank you all for your time, for your hard work, and for making all this possible. Thank you very much, Anabela. Well, thank you very much, Gaston, for your presentation. I hope you now know about the future steps to be taken in this community of practice on methane. Do we have any questions in the YouTube chat? Any comments? Yeah, there's one question about how to become part of the working group. Something that is important about the information provided by Gaston. So far, we have 170 people registered. The registry will be open. As from today, we will be registering users until the end of the month. You will be getting your access credentials for the forums in COEMLAC, the information Gaston has just shared with you. And once we have finished with all the user registry and credentials, we will be setting up the different subgroups depending on your answers in the forms and the sectors that you represent. And we will be then setting all the groups. That will be done automatically depending on your response in the registration form. And then if you're interested in specific subgroups, feel free to send us a message to OLADE or OEMLAC to let us know about your interest to be part of some specific group. Any other questions? In the chat, Leonardo from Colombia, he wants to know whether they have 1 minute to invite participants through the Ministry of Energy and Mining. Yeah, we can provide the focal points with information so that they can disseminate that information for the general public. Information will be available to share this with your colleagues and other organizations so that you can stay in touch during this registry period, the registration period that we have just mentioned. Any other comments, Leticia? No comments here. Leti y Anabela, let me tell you that if any focal points or any of the members from any participating organization if they want to share some thoughts before we close the event, now is the moment. If there are no comments, then we can formally close the event. Gaston, Alejandra, Anabela, if I may, on behalf of Arpel, we would like to congratulate OLADE for launching this community of practice. We believe this is a key initiative to strengthen regional cooperation and technical exchange in a topic that is as important as mitigation of methane emissions. It is an honor for us at ARPEL to work with you, and we can share all our technical experience and promoting dialogue between private and public sectors. We want to promote these exchanges to make progress, to increase transparency, and to provide specific solutions adapted to the reality in our region. Once again, from ARPEL, we would like to tell you again about our commitment, and we wish you the best in this new stage. Also, I would like to check that the next summit, is it on the 20th and 21st of May in Brazil? And Gaston, do you know in which city this event will take place? Yeah, we got the confirmation by the Ministry of Mines and Energy in Brazil. We are with the last details. I believe that by next week, we will let you know in which city the event will take place and the venue, okay? This was just a spoiler, but next week we're going to be sharing the whole information. The same way we got together to talk about COEMLAC, well, we will do the same for the summit, and we're going to be telling you about the main partners and the specific venue for the event. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you, Irene. And now, Fernando. Fernando from CAF. The interpreter here, the volume of the speaker is very, very low. It's very hard to listen to you. Hello, can you hear me better now? Yes, yes. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to congratulate the team at OLADE for their hard work. I was lucky enough to get to know about this initiative from the very beginning. Gaston has worked very, very hard to make this initiative a reality. I just wanted to congratulate you all, and I really hope that this initiative has a wide range of action throughout the region, so that we can make the best use of a tool like this one, so that we can have the possibility of sharing experiences and monitor our own efforts throughout the region. Thank you. Hello, colleagues, and as Fernando mentioned, I believe that this initiative in Latin America and the Caribbean is a very important one, crucial not only for the region, but also as a model for other regions. I hope that this community has a strong link with the network of regulators that we launched last week. Gaston is fully aware of this. So we would like to then welcome our community of practice from OLADE so that they can be part of the network of regulators, so that we can share all the regional initiatives to a global stage where we can interact with different regulators and peers from other countries and regions. So once again, congratulations, Gaston, Anabela, Andres. Thank you. We have several of our focal points connected. So now, in the upcoming days, we're going to be sharing more details and, of course, information connected to this network of regulators of methane through Carlos and other partners that are today with us. So the idea is to enhance and increase synergy to all the activities taking place at the global stage. Okay, well then, so we are getting to the end of the event. Once again, remember that if you have any questions or comments, you can send them to our email at OEMLAC. And also remember that this meeting will be recorded and uploaded at OLADE's website. So feel free to share the link so that more and more people can be aware of this initiative. Gaston, any closing remarks? Or if you don't have any, then we can thank all the participants, and we hope to see you all again. Thank you, everyone.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Take care.